uncover the blackmailer, he might be safe. But if the blackmailer struck first, it could all be over. Tawanda worked fast, his fingers flying across his laptop's keyboard. "Whoever sent this message is smart," he muttered. "They used a burner number and a VPN to hide their location." Tinashe's stomach twisted. "So we can't find them?" Tawanda smirked. "Did I say that? Give me time." Tinashe paced around the small room, his mind racing. If he could get ahead of the blackmailer, he could take back control of his life. A few minutes later, Tawanda let out a low whistle. "Got something. The messages came from a SIM card registered yesterday. That means someone local." Tinashe clenched his fists. Someone close to him was betraying him. Now he just had to figure out who. Tinashe barely slept that night. The thought of someone close to him being the blackmailer was eating him alive. At school the next day, he looked at everyone differently. Then he spotted Brian laughing with some friends. Tawanda had confirmed the messages came from a number bought recently. Who else had the money and the connections to pull this off? He walked up to Brian casually. "Hey man, quick question. You ever deal with burner phones?" Brian chuckled. "Why, you planning something shady?" Tinashe forced a grin. "Just curious." Brian shrugged. "Not really my thing, but I know people who do." Something about his tone made Tinashe uneasy. Was Brian covering for someone, or was he the blackmailer himself? Either way, Tinashe wasn't backing down. Tawanda met up with Tinashe later that evening. "I did some more digging. The number was activated near the school. Whoever it is, they didn't think you'd check." Tinashe's mind raced. That meant the blackmailer was a student, someone who saw his rise and wanted to take him down. "Brian's acting weird," Tinashe admitted, "but I need proof." Tawanda grinned. "Leave that to me." Tinashe exhaled. The truth was so close, but if Brian was really behind this, what would happen when he found out Tinashe was onto him? The next day, Tawanda sent Tinashe a message. Heart pounding, Tinashe met him behind the school. "Who is it?" Tawanda handed him a piece of paper with a name on it. Tinashe's breath caught. His dream girl, his biggest motivation, the person he was trying so hard to impress. She had been playing him all along. Tinashe felt sick. How could Rudo do this? Had she always known about his money? Was everything a lie? He watched her from a distance, laughing with her friends as if nothing was wrong. For the first time, he saw through the illusion. She wasn't the perfect girl he had built her up to be. But why? Why betray him? He needed answers. But confronting her could make things worse. For now, he'd wait. And when the time was right, he'd strike back. Tinashe knew confronting Rudo directly would be risky. Instead, he decided to play along. That afternoon, he texted her. She replied instantly. His stomach twisted. That emoji, that excitement, it was all fake. She thought she was still in control, but not for long. Tinashe arranged a date at an upscale restaurant, one she had once mentioned wanting to visit. She took the bait, dressing up and arriving excitedly. As they ate, he smiled at her. "You're really something, Rudo." She giggled. "What do you mean?" Tinashe leaned in. "I mean, you always seem to know things before anyone else, like my money, for example." Her smile faltered just for a second. He had her. Rudo sighed, swirling her drink. "Okay, fine. I found out about your money. But can you blame me? You came out of nowhere throwing cash around." Tinashe clenched his jaw. "So you blackmailed me?" She scoffed. "Blackmail is such a harsh word. Let's call it insurance." Tinashe's hands tightened into fists. She wasn't even sorry. She smirked. "Look, I won't tell anyone if you keep making it worth my while." Tinashe forced a laugh. "You know what? You're right. Let's make a deal." She grinned, thinking she had won, but she had no idea what was coming next. Tinashe knew Rudo thrived on attention, so he decided to use that against her. With Tawanda's help, he created a fake investment opportunity, something big, exclusive, and too good for her to resist. She loves money, Tawanda said. Make her think there's even more to get. Tinashe played it cool. He met Rudo after school, leaning against his car. I've been thinking, he said smoothly. You're right. We should work together. Rudo's eyes lit up. I knew you'd come around. Tinashe smirked. But first I need you to meet someone, big investor. He only works with serious people. She took the bait instantly. When do we meet him? Tinashe's heart pounded. Tomorrow. Tomorrow everything would change. The next day, Rudo showed up dressed to impress. Tinashe had arranged a private meeting spot, a luxury lounge where she would feel important. She walked in confidently, expecting a business deal. Instead, she found Tawanda sitting there with a laptop, a camera already recording. What's going on? She asked, narrowing her eyes. Tinashe leaned back in his chair. You tell me, Rudo. Why don't you explain why you blackmailed me? Her face paled. What? Tawanda pressed a button. A voice recording played, her own words from their last conversation. Rudo gasped. You set me up? Tinashe smirked. You set yourself up. Rudo's shock turned to rage. You wouldn't dare leak that. Tinashe raised an eyebrow. Wouldn't I? Maybe I should send this to the school, your friends, your family. She clenched her fists. What do you want? Tinashe leaned forward. I want my life back. No more threats, no more games. And you walk away, quietly. Rudo's jaw tightened. She had no choice. Fine, she spat. But don't think this is over. Tinashe watched her storm out. He knew she wasn't done, but neither was he. The recording spread faster than Tinashe expected. Students whispered in the hallways, and by lunchtime everyone knew the truth. Rudo had tried to blackmail him. She tried to play the victim, but no one bought it. Even Brian, her biggest supporter, kept his distance. Tinashe felt lighter than he had in weeks. He had won, or so he thought. That night he received another message. It wasn't from Rudo. A new threat had arrived. Tinashe stared at the message, his heartbeat drumming in his ears. He read it again, hoping he had imagined it. This wasn't Rudo's style. She was arrogant, but she would have confronted him directly. This was someone else. He quickly forwarded the message to Tawanda. Tawanda's reply came instantly. Tinashe exhaled sharply. He had won against Rudo, but now there was a new player in the game, one who had been watching from the shadows. That night he barely slept. His mind raced with possibilities. Who else knew his secret? Had Rudo told someone before she was exposed? Or was this someone who had been waiting for the right moment? When morning came, he felt a strange sense of paranoia. Every glance in the hallway felt suspicious. Every whisper made him uneasy. Then he saw it. A small folded note in his locker. He opened it with trembling hands. Tinashe's breath caught. Tinashe's fingers tightened around the note. He scanned the hallway looking for anyone watching him, but the crowd of students moved as usual. Whoever had left the message was good, calculated. He rushed to Tawanda between classes and handed him the note. Tawanda's eyes narrowed as he read it. This isn't random. Someone's been watching you closely. Tinashe exhaled. That's what scares me. Tawanda pulled out his laptop. Give me 24 hours. I'll track where that last text came from. But Tinashe wasn't sure if he had 24 hours. By lunchtime, another note appeared in his bag. His stomach turned. He had no choice. When 4 p.m. arrived, Tinashe stood behind the abandoned science block, his heart pounding. The place was quiet, overgrown weeds brushing against his ankles. Then, footsteps. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Tinashe's breath caught. Brian smirked. Surprised? Tinashe swallowed hard. You sent the messages? Brian chuckled. Not all of them, but let's just say I have my sources. Tinashe clenched his fists. What do you want? Brian stepped closer, his smile cold. You think you're some kind of mastermind, don't you? Exposing Rudo like that. But you forgot. Tinashe frowned. And if I say no? Brian's smirk widened. He held up his phone. Then this recording goes public. Everyone will know you set Rudo up. You'll go from hero to villain overnight. Tinash's jaw clenched. He had no choice. Brian patted his shoulder. Think about it, my friend. With your brains and my connections, we could own this school. With that, Brian turned and walked away whistling. Tinashe stood frozen, his mind racing. He had beaten Rudo, but now he was trapped in an even bigger game, one he hadn't seen coming. The question was, would he play along, or would he find a way to beat Brian at his own game? Tinashe knew one thing: he couldn't let Brian control him, but he had to be smart. Brian wasn't like Rudo. He was calculated, ruthless, and had nothing to lose. That night, Tinashe met with Tawanda in secret. Brian has the recording, he said through gritted teeth. He's trying to blackmail me into working with him. Tawanda frowned. Damn, he must have been watching us for a while. Tinashe ran a hand through his hair. We need to destroy that recording. Tawanda's eyes gleamed. Then we don't go after the recording, we go after Brian. Tinashe leaned in. What do you mean? Tawanda smirked. Brian loves being in control, right? What if we make sure he's the one with everything to lose? Tinashe exhaled slowly. I'm listening. The next day, Tawanda got to work. He dug deep into Brian's online history, his social media, his messages, anything that could give them leverage. By evening, he hit gold. Tawanda grinned. I found something. Brian's been using fake accounts to manipulate people, spreading rumors, leaking private messages, even setting people up to take the fall for things he's done. Tinashe's eyes widened. So he's been doing this for a while. Tawanda nodded. And guess what? I can prove it. Tinashe smirked for the first time that day. Then it's time to turn the tables. The trap was set. Tinashe waited until Brian confronted him again. Well? Brian asked. Ready to play the game? Tinashe smiled. Oh, I've decided to play, but not the way you want. Brian frowned. What? Tinashe pulled out his phone and played a recording, messages, screenshots, and proof of everything Brian had done. Brian's smirk faltered. Where did you get that? Tinashe took a step closer. I have my sources. Now here's the deal. You delete that recording of me and Tawanda, or I release this to the whole school. Brian clenched his fists. You think you can threaten me? Tinashe didn't flinch. I don't think. I know. Silence stretched between them. Then with a scowl, Brian took out his phone and deleted the recording. Smart choice, Tinashe said. Brian glared at him. This isn't over. Tinashe smirked. It is for you. As Brian stormed off, Tawanda appeared beside Tinashe. Damn, that was smooth. Tinashe exhaled in relief. It had to be. For the first time in a long while, he felt free. No blackmail, no secrets, no one pulling the strings. Tinashe had won. But he had learned something important. Money and power would always attract danger. The next few weeks were calm, almost too calm. Brian had backed off and Rudo had disappeared from the spotlight. Tinashe finally felt like he could breathe again. But something still nagged at him. He had played defense this whole time, reacting to threats. If he wanted to stay ahead, he needed to be proactive. One evening, he sat with Tawanda at their usual spot, a small cafe near the school. I don't want to just survive, T. I want to control my own fate. Tawanda sipped his drink, thinking. Then we do what Brian tried to do, but better. We build something real. Tinashe leaned in. Go on. Tawanda grinned. You've got influence now. People listen to you. You don't need to manipulate like Brian did. You can actually make a difference. Tinashe considered this. The money had changed his life, but he had been hiding in the shadows, afraid of being exposed. What if instead of hiding, he used his resources for something bigger,